I'm David Gottfried. I'm the founder of the US and World Green Building Councils. I also run two companies. One is called Regenerative Ventures and another is the US Regenerative Network. I'm an author and global keynote speaker.
What currently lights you up? What gets you excited?
I love innovation, new ideas, new products, green building products that are going to disintermediate what we've known for 50 years. A window that becomes electrochromatic, put a computer signal through it and it goes from clear to dark. I love working with cholera by taking carbon and CO2 from a coal plant, throwing it into the making of an aggregate that you throw into cement, and all of a sudden it sequesters. So a new product becomes a tree to sequester carbon. I love working with people, especially when their eyes sparkle at new ideas and they all of a sudden have an aha that they can do something different and the fire in their belly to make a difference, to go up the steep hill that Sisyphus slid down.
Now you come from unlikely origins for a green person. You came from real estate development.
So I am a sinner.
No. You're a good guy. But tell us about your catharsis a little bit, I guess, if you will.
Well, I was a traditional real estate developer for 10 years, my first career back in Washington, D.C. I loved the business. And then I went green around 91, 92 was the start of that. I love real estate development as well, but I went back to my roots from school. I was an engineering student at Stanford and studied with Gil Masters, who's a great professor for thousands of us. I now lecture at his class. But we learned about the state of the world. We learned about global warming. We learned about population growth from Professor Ehrlich. We looked at how to feed this growing populace and how to have fresh water. And that didn't come in my first career at all, really. It was more about building quality buildings that were pretty and that made money. And I just merged these values of state of the world, my personal values as a backpacker and a nature guy, engineer who hates waste, and pulled them together. And for me, that became an epiphany that I could work at buildings in the building industry and development and construction operations. I loved it. But we could look at the resource flow to make it super efficient. And through that, hopefully, make more money, which I'm a businessman, so green and capitalism are synonymous.
And what is the vision in your head? If we were to crack your skull open and look at the yolk in there, what's the bigger vision you see? Because it seems that there have been a series of moves, whether it's the USGBC and now Regenerative Ventures. What's the big vision you see, not just for yourself, but for development in general?
If you cracked open my head, I think you would run. Well, the bigger vision is, like a lot of us, it's about transformation and reinventing our world. And a big chunk of our world is our economic systems. The root of economic systems is the definition of value and wealth creation. And when you look at value, it should be nature is value. Nature's rules are valuable. The ultimate value should be preservation of Earth, but for us as a species, it should be preservation of life for humans and other things that live. And those that don't live, that we can preserve those too. And I'm trying to take those elements and get them in the top line of the economic equation. So you don't make money in the revenue if you don't preserve those elements. If you don't appreciate fresh air and life in what you make and it's hurting life, then I intend to put you out of business.
Mhm.
And I'm working in a master strategy with my millions of friends to only make the highest value those who have the lowest eco footprint, those who report transparently and map and track and reduce carbon. And we're going to make you billionaires if you do those. And you're that kind of company where you have those products or services or goods. The others, we're going to make you report, and you're not going to do well in our rating systems. So LEED will look at that ultimately, and LEED for companies at some point, even if it's not LEED, it's our regenerative balance sheet that my company invented, or ULE's new system, or B Corp, or GRI, Global Reporting Initiative. We're all moving in the same way, and we're educating those analysts at the publicly traded firms and Morgan Stanley's and Goldman Sachs to understand triple bottom line reporting. So that's the bigger picture. But all of that is still wrapped in this life preservation. And for me, it's still about greening of life. And what is a green life? And that debate, that discussion, and igniting that atom of change in each of us to persevere to have a green life.
What's standing in your way? What are the obstacles that you confront? Can the traditional developer model be greened, or do we need to invent a new developer model?
Well, the developer model is just a subset of the economy. And the economy is a subset of what makes money. Developers will do the deepest level green buildings. They'll do living buildings. They'll do net zero buildings for energy, water, and waste. They'll do restorative buildings, regenerative buildings if it's profitable. Manufacturers will make the best products you ever dreamed of. Developers in cities will create cities where you can actually walk and get rid of your car and eat local food and put your kids in a local school and celebrate if the money's there. The world is about return on investment. The world is about price-earning ratios for publicly traded companies. The world is about clean techs who do startups and do GPOs, green public offerings, instead of IPOs. So the developer model will shift as soon as the economic model shows the value, the return on investment. And we're at this lag between what we know as greenies, what case studies show, and the real deep data. Some of it's coming out of CoStar and US Green Building Council and the Center of the Built Environment. But every developer isn't jumping into living buildings and regenerative, restorative, and solar, and gray water, and fuel cells, and geothermal heat pumps. They should. We know that value's there. So it's about education, it's about changing the economic models, it's about tax credits, it's about Obama helping us, it's about purchasers being educated, it's about tenants caring about air quality and productivity. So the obstacle is education, the obstacle is ignorance, the obstacle is connecting life to value, value to wealth, wealth to green buildings to solar and fuel cells and geothermal heat pumps. I'd love it all to happen today, and it's slow. I hope we'll have time. So ignorance is a problem, lack of education. This old guard who fights as a Luddite for doing things the way we always did, that's ridiculous. And we need to embrace change that's disruptive, that's dynamic. Moore's Law needs to come into play in the built environment. And we need to read Andy Grove's book, Only the Paranoid Survive, because we need to understand it as a species. But the billionaires of the future will get this. And that's the path that we hope for and we're on.
What are you excited to see this year at West Coast Green?
I'm excited that everyone's coming together. I'm excited we're advancing the dialogue. I'm most thrilled with these clean tech products that are coming into our homes and our buildings and the innovation of those and the advancement of the social dialogue, which I think West Coast Green has done really well, that green life, green purpose, green mission, green atoms of change inside are up for discussion on the table. It's like a car where we open the hood and we all get the flashlights and go inside and open those shut valves together. That's the dialogue at West Coast Green that I appreciate and admire and want to help advance.